So welcome to iheartsf podcast. We are here at OneShot Tattoo at 555 Irving Street. I love the address here. We are here with my tattoo artist, Dave Bobrick, owner of OneShot Tattoo. And I'm also here with Mark Bode. He is internationally known cartoonist, second generation comic book artist, underground comics, tattoo artist, muralist, graffiti artist, all the things. And my very good friend Night Owl too, who is known coast to coast for, what would you say you're best known for your art? How would you describe your art?
It's definitely owl-centric. Colorful, poppy, bold. And I kind of try to just punch you in the face with it when you see it on the street.
That's right. And that's actually what I fell in love with. And all three of these guys, you know, have come into my life in different ways. Dave over here actually is his artwork that I also have on my body. I have a lot of body work. His artwork is the inspiration for what iheartsf started out as, a love of graffiti and tattoo art. And, you know, we'll get into where all that started. And Mark's art, you know, is at my house framed. I've got a couple pieces, so I'm very happy to see those every day. I love that. And Night Owl's art, I've got as my kitchen, dining room, universal table that I eat off of. So all three guys are in my life one way or another. I'm like a little fangirl right now because this was, you know, my original love was of graffiti and tattoo art. And so Dave and I, we have this mutual friend, and I had seen some tattoos of San Francisco landmarks that you had on Danny, and that really inspired, you know, this original iheartsf, not to what it is now, but what it was meant to be, which is, like I said, a love of graffiti and tattoo art and artists. And, you know, over the years, I have, you know, loved tattoo and graffiti art and art in general. But what I've also noticed was that tattoo and graffiti artists kind of have a bit of a reputation. You know, we're all of kind of the same generation. And, you know, back then, tattoo art was kind of seen as the underworld of artists. And what I wanted to do was raise the profile of art, tattoo and graffiti artists, because I always thought that, you know, they were amazing artists, but they just didn't get the kind of play that they deserved. And your art was all what started it. One of the things I wanted to say is where I first saw graffiti art. My dad, he owned Rubens Market, you know, in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we were talking about this earlier, about graffiti art just being on the walls and just like tagging mostly back in the day where it was very like messy and what have you. But, you know, you tell me, you know, you came here from LA, right? And we were talking about the story, how you got into it.
Yeah, well, I was not ever really a graffiti artist. I was just an artist and illustrator and, you know, doing stuff, messing around with an airbrush as a teenager. And I had an auto shop class in 12th grade, and my auto shop teacher taught me a little bit of how to, you know, do some airbrushing on cars. Mm. So I did some very rudimentary things. But I got tattooed when I was 18 in Hollywood, and I was hooked immediately. And like, this is something that I want to learn to do. Yeah. I took a trip to San Francisco with some friends when I was 21. And up until then, the only real graffiti I had seen was mostly just tagging around Santa Monica and Venice and stuff like that. And I came up here, and there was like, you know, huge wall murals all over the city. And I was just blown away by that. And I kind of knew that San Francisco was on the cutting edge of tattooing too. There wasn't a lot of stuff that you could see tattoos in, but there was a couple of like,
it's very minimal. Yeah.
They would publish some tattoos here and there, and a lot of it coming out of San Francisco was like really cutting edge stuff in the late 80s, early.
But it was very on the DL, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really.
It was changing. It was there was people, you know, Ed Hardy was bringing it to the forefront a little more, and some of the LA artists, Mike Malone and Mark Mahoney, those guys were really starting to kind of push the edge a little bit. But at that time I came up here, and there was graffiti crews just doing amazing stuff, a lot of which have spawned some really successful and well-known tattooers, you know, MSK and AWR, graffiti crews in the city were doing this stuff. And I was like, I got to get to San Francisco because that's
where
the art is happening.
Right.
And I was more focused on tattooing, but it was a culture of the city that just really captured me. And so I moved up here and dicked around with some cheap tattoo equipment out of my apartment for a few years, and then was lucky enough to get an apprenticeship with Henry Goldfield.
That's amazing. And you've been doing this for like 25 years.
I started with him in 1994, so about 30 years now.
And now you're a triple shop owner, right? You got
here
OneShot,
Maui Tattoo Company in Hawaii, and Master Tattoo
in San Diego. That's amazing.
I have a couple of business partners in those.
So the work of tattoo artists has really kind of, elevated a little bit on its own, just through, what you're putting out there. And
artists from other backgrounds, people that have graffiti backgrounds, pop art, illustrative, now digital art, a lot of those people gravitate toward tattooing for the same reasons. It's sort of, just another medium to work in, as well as something that's always been considered a little more on the fringe of
the art world,
right?
Almost like,
and so it's a natural transition for people that I think came up in our type of
industry,
environments and things like that to cross over into those different mediums.
Yeah.
So
and that's the what we have here. I mean, Mark, you did the same thing. You started more in the graffiti world, or the comics mostly.
Underground comics, yeah.
Okay.
I grew up around Robert Crumb and Spain Rodriguez and even Greg Irons, who Dave and I were talking about, who worked for Goldfield, but I was just a kid, coming in. My father actually, the first place we moved was 11th and Judah, just a couple blocks from here. So this was my first neighborhood when we moved from upstate New York to San Francisco. I was 10 years old in 73, and so we lived right down the street here.
You know how I met you was through graffiti art. You were doing spray paint murals on Lilac Street, that whole thing that was going on there. When did you get into the graffiti part of your artwork?
I was in school visual arts in 82 and in New York City, and I was on a train. I was waiting for the N train express and on the tracks there, and all of a sudden a nonstop went by, and it had all the Bode characters on it, like Deadbone Mountain and Cheech Wizard and the lizards and the machines, and it all just went. And as the wind hit me in the face, the characters and the reality that there was some insane person out there that was spray painting against the law, putting my father's stuff up on the trains. And I thought it was one crazy person. But as a little time went on, I started realizing they kept popping up, and there was no way that it was the same person. And then when I moved back to San Francisco, I saw over the top of the stud, there was one of my dad's PW-17 jets, perfectly done in spray can in San Francisco when I arrived back. And I realized that it was more than one person. It was like a little revolution was starting to happen with the characters and simplicity,
come back to life.
The lines, and my father's characters are so easily translated to spray can because it was.
So it went from cartoon to just. That's how you went from.
And I didn't embrace it. For years I had tried spray can and was like working with a club.
Yeah, it was hard.
It's like, we didn't have special caps.
Yeah. Not like today. Yep. It's a very hard medium to use.
The pressure in the can, I didn't.
Learning curve.
So whenever I used it, it was like, it's like, wow, God, I don't know how these guys do it. And there was people better at doing our characters than I was, and that was annoying. So eventually I met. Eventually, I started meeting different graffiti artists. And,
Okay.
there's Django, Chaos, and Bill Fitz, who did him too, and they started showing me around in San Francisco.
Okay.
Graffiti, Fade was another one, and Shadow. Those were all early graffiti artists in the Bay Area, and then when I went back east, to work with the Ninja Turtles, my friends invented the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they were Bode fans, or Kevin was, and so Kevin Eastman invited me to do the comics there. So I went back east, and when I started out hanging out in New York, that's when I met Revolt, Dr. Revolt, and Zephyr, and they started teaching me. They said, "Come on, Bode, come on to the wall."
So you had mentorship.
And they were like, short bursts, practice. If you're
so you had to be
tired,
taught.
use your thumb.
That's
to
very
fill,
cool.
and so little short bursts and cross hatching practice.
Very different than cartooning.
Yeah, but it's as time went on, I really embraced it, and now it's one of my favorite things to do.
I love the spray can medium.
Yeah, I get to travel to
That's so cool.
to graffiti events and
Participate.
Yeah,
That's
just
fun.
a huge piece in Rotterdam for All Caps Festival there.
That's so cool.
So I get to be the OG.
We were just talking about that.
I didn't really. I didn't do my time, like in the yards.
Well,
Everybody else is doing
like you were
it.
saying,
why should I be
crossover.
putting myself?
You're still an artist. You're still an artist. It's like you said, it's the crossover. It's all these genres. The tattoo needle has its own, very love to it, and then the spray
That's the
paint.
other thing is I got into tattooing for the very same reason that there was
Yeah.
people doing Bode characters in tattooing, and I was like, why shouldn't I be able to do that too?
Smart.
And so,
yeah.
And
I never thought about
Ninja
crossover.
Turtles were kind of waning out at the time in Massachusetts, and it was still illegal. Tattooing was still illegal there.
It was? In Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
East for the longest time.
Yeah,
kidding.
it was one of the last states to
till the
legalize it.
late.
I didn't even know it was
It was
really.
even illegal.
I didn't even
in New
know.
York.
It was illegal in New York.
It's good to live in California. No kidding.
The end of the 90s that
Yeah.
everybody kind of came on board.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
A
that
lot of it
part.
was just because they didn't have this,
Well, again,
the infrastructure to regulate it,
It's some governor in New York, like his daughter got a tattoo down in Coney Island and got hepatitis. And he made it illegal for everybody. It's because they had a blood bucket.
Interesting.
They had a blood bucket with a sponge.
It's all about perspective.
very hygienic.
It was a
That's
sponge
gnarly. Oh,
in a bucket, and
that's what you. Oh no. Okay, I can understand how that needs to be regulated, but
so the guy made
but
it
illegal. I don't know about
This was
that.
in the 20s,
Yeah.
So or something, so. But that's the guy who made it illegal in New England, more or less.
So you got into it back there then, over
Yeah. I mean,
on the East Coast.
yeah. But I
That's
love
very cool.
tattooing. It just it got to
Another
the point
one.
where I was.
You're like a jack of all trades.
Tap on the shoulder. It's like, Mark, what are we going to be known for in the long run? And my father, has been. He kind of is a guardian
like
angel
that.
for me, and I listen to the little whispers.
I love
And he
that.
goes, get back to what we're known for.
I love that.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
was he around still when people were doing his artwork on trains and things? Did he get to see any of that? No.
It like spurred from his passing.
Oh.
It was almost like there was a
Interesting.
seed, and
Yeah.
suddenly when he died,
yeah.
it became a tree.
Great artists
You
are
wanna-
usually much more popular in death than
Such
they were.
such an odd. This is an odd thing, I believe that all of you guys should be just as celebrated in life than in death. And Night Owl, you're a coast to coast artist. Tell me how you got started in your graffiti.
I started very young. Started
Yeah.
like 3rd grade.
Oh wow!
Basically
With the spray paint can in your hand.
Yeah, his older brothers came over one day, gave us all markers and said, pick a name, we're going out. and we just started.
No kidding.
And I mean, I was.
So you were always into art. I mean, such a young age.
I was into art, but not in the sense of like I am now. It was like a hobby.
Yeah.
It was cool, and like I was more into the shoplifting and the racking of paint. I was really good at it. It's kept me around, you know. Hit the auto parts store after school. You grab a couple of cans. We go hit the back of the pharmacy. And
okay. So you were
around, and then, like, you know, being in New York back in the 80s, like it was a big thing every Monday. You'd go into Manhattan to check out the trains and what was done over the weekend.
Oh, okay. So you know exactly what he's talking about.
Sit at the train stop and just like, what did Scene do? What did like Crash do? Mm-hmm. You know, what did Phase do? Like, what's out there? Yeah.
That's very cool. And when did you bring your artwork out to the West Coast?
That was about 2006.
Yeah. Oh, so you've been out here for some time too.
I came out in '99. I started out in San Diego, Pacific Beach.
Oh, that's where I got my first tattoo. On Garnett or Grand.
Day was
on Grand
in San Diego at that time. Like, yeah. Still down there. And like his stickers were everywhere, and that actually got me going with like the whole sticker game thing. Just seeing like what Obey was doing.
Okay, inspired by other artists.
Absolutely.
I love that. Would you guys all say that you'd be inspired by other artists, you know, along the way?
Yeah.
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 Everything.
All artists are. Yeah.
I would say.
You see stuff that just really captures you, and you're like, wow, I want to try that, you know? And you go and try and replicate it, you know? Yeah, and then eventually you develop it into your own
style.
But yeah, you know, it starts out with plagiarizing from other artists. And that's
inspired by, I would like to say, inspired
by. A little bit above. I mean, that's how it's always been, you know?
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah. There's all...
Sure, I was big on drawing the Iron Maiden covers on my desk in school.
Right. Yeah.
Now get a culture for it.
Okay. Now you get to...
Corbin, right?
Derek Briggs.
Oh, Derek Curtis, okay.
That's very cool.
I'm thinking Meatloaf.
Okay. I was always into Epi.
Yeah, that was some great artwork.
The Catholic school, so it was considered satanic.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, me too.
Got to go see the priest.
So you had to fit into a box. So, you know, it's so interesting. I went to Catholic school too, and you know, you were in this, you had to, and look where we're at now. Yeah. I feel like graffiti artists, tattoo artists, and muralists, somebody else, you know, another genre I've learned along the way. Actually, you know, Mark, where I found you at that other event at the Midway. It was like a hip hop type show. I forgot the name of it, but the Midway puts it on every year. And a couple years ago, I went to it, and I was still learning about, you know, I just loved artwork, and as I was developing iHeartSF from, you know, more of a. This was done by Crayon. I think you guys probably all know him. Yeah, we did this together. This will be the next logo of the city.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Like when spray can art came out, he did some stuff that was just
amazing.
It was another level of control with the cans. That no one else was on at that time, and he understood it. Nobody else did, and it just
takes a lot of control.
Minds.
Yeah,
but Crayon is one of the movers.
OGs out there too. Yeah, he has some beautiful artwork out there on the walls of San Francisco. Yeah, he did this. It does. Our artwork or our merchandise line also features augmented reality. That's what this is, and we could see that later, but. It's actually, it's pictures I've taken throughout the city. You know, I have been called an artist. I am not an artist. I like to consider myself a creative. I can visualize and see I'm not good like that. And that's what this is all, you know, kind of evolved to. Originally, in San Francisco, I thought our logo was the Giants logo because we didn't have merchandising back then. We didn't know about.
What you always see.
That's what we saw. And when the SF, right? And when people started putting images inside the SF, they'd sell them in Ghirardelli Square and they'd sell them, you know, in Chinatown, what have you. And I'd look around and be like, I could do better than that. I could do better.
Popular tattoo design too is the SF.
I have, right? But I saw yours and I thought, I was inspired by your tattoos, and I thought, this is a different way to do San Francisco landmarks. And I put the two together, and I said, let me put these images inside, and develop the idea and learning about graffiti artists, because I always knew they were like considered, again, like the lower, end of the art world. I met a guy at that event, and I was talking to him. I had no idea about this, but I was talking to him about a jacket that he was raffling off. I thought everybody was a graffiti artist. Anybody who painted on the side of the wall was a graffiti artist. And I said something to him about graffiti art, and he looked at me visibly, like, don't call me a graffiti artist. I was taken aback by it.
G-word.
Yeah. Yeah, we had talked about this. I was taken aback by it. I was friendly. I was buying his tickets for it, and I didn't understand. And then he started kind of explaining to me his perspective about graffiti artists versus a tattoo artist. And that was the first time I had actually learned. I mean, not a graffiti artist and a muralist. He considered himself what he called a muralist. I didn't realize that a big piece of artwork on a wall outside could be a graffiti artist painting or a muralist art painting. And he pointed me to an organization in San Francisco called Precita Eyes. I don't know how familiar you are with that. Yeah, I took a class. I really wanted to learn about it. And I learned about muralists and how they do things very differently. They graph off the walls and they do picture by picture and all of those things. Yeah. Your artworks are different.
Susan from Precita Eyes, she's like,
is she the one that was her name, the owner?
Susan.
Yes.
And
nice lady.
She's been doing murals in San Francisco since the 70s. And,
yeah. She gave me a good education that night.
but there's a difference. There's the brush painters and the spray canners, and they don't really mix too much.
Okay, so that's really the crux of really what I wanted to get into today, and I was it kind of really surprised me. Look at all of us, we're all talking about art, we love art, all these different things. But that particular line, and now what you're saying, iHeartSF and our podcast, the content I'm trying to put out there is really to change people's perspective, hopefully to a positive way, and really, to change the way you look at somebody and not judge them, especially people who wear tattoos and things like that. But also what I want to relate it to is our homeless population. A lot of us judge, not necessarily people here, but judge, and they look at, somebody on the street and they just have no idea how they've gotten there. They just don't know their story. And somebody with tattoos on their neck and head and hands, we all have stories, we just, to make it a little bit less judgmental out there of specifically the artwork, but also of, people that we see out on the streets too. And that little PSA, can we talk about the difference between, a muralist versus a graffiti artist and some of the insight? Maybe, do you, Night Owl?
Something out there. Something
Please.
That, people don't talk about with the spray cans on murals that we just brought up is that spray paint was never intended for this. It was meant to, go paint your patio table, fix the dent in your car. And we took what's essentially like a mallet and turned it into a diamond tip precision instrument.
Oh, I love that.
Amazing art with it. And back in the day, when I started, there were 4 colors of paint. And that was it.
Yeah.
And we all learned on the job. You learned how to mix colors. You took a blue and a yellow, and all of a sudden you're getting green. You'd mix colors at home. You can mix them at the wall. And like I said, everything was learned on the job. There was a lot of experimentation, failure, and then you finally figure it out. And then years later, these guys in Europe treat Montana, which is high pressure, and then there's the low pressure, and all these different. We used to take pins back in the day, and you'd stick them in the caps, melt them,
to get the different.
2-3 holes, make big fat ones, and now all of a sudden you go to the store, and they're like, "Yo, what kind of caps you want? We got 4 different kinds."
The last can I had a bunch of different little hoses in there or nozzles in there. How interesting!
When I got into tattooing, that opened my mind to all these different styles of art. And when you're tattooing and somebody wants, a muksha, or they want, or they want, a Robert Crumb or
like a vase,
there's different styles, like Mobius. And I started embracing that and studying like every little line you make on the body, because you got to slow anyway.
Yeah.
But like really study the way that artist was thinking, and it opened me up to being a mimic. And so that translated into the spray can. And the spray can, then I could do a tribute to Mobius, or, I just kind of close my eyes and try to think, try to summon that artist, and
Very cool.
kind of go blank for a while and have doubts that I could even do it. And all of a sudden,
You never know what you can't do. That's right.
you made it look like Mobius had something to do with it. And I never thought I'd have that in me, but tattooing has taught me to appreciate different styles and
Different genres.
styles and different ways of thinking, of doing art.
It's really a focus. I mean, it's not just, people see this amazing artwork and they think, done. But we were just saying that.
So much, touching back on what Night Owl was saying, it's like when I got into it in the mid 90s, early 90s, it was still very rudimentary. There was not supply companies. Maybe there's maybe one or two, and you could get a handful of things. But you still had to make your own needles and inks.
Make your own needles too. No
everything.
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
And those were tightly guarded secrets back then. And so anytime you had any little bit of information that you could grasp a hold of or share with someone else, that you get somebody to share their secrets with you, it was huge. And tattoos reflected that. There was a certain level that was being done, and people were starting to break ground with new styles, but it was still pretty
Secretive.
basic.
Yeah.
Even the what you were able to do with tattooing was still relatively basic until right around then, toward the end of the 90s, it started blowing up. And then once the internet came around, supply companies got involved because they started seeing it as a money-making thing.
Right.
And that took it to a whole new level, because then everybody's trying to perfect what's already out there. And a lot of the other artists from, like I was saying earlier, other genres that came with backgrounds of fine art, that had degrees, or they had, graffiti or illustrative backgrounds, and they started bringing all those styles into tattooing. Then it just exploded, and now you have these incredible tattooers
pieces of artwork.
They're doing things that look like they were painted with an oil painting.
It's amazing what's out there.
Yeah, the realism and even the geometric stuff. There's so many different styles now, and a lot of that has been made possible because of all of the things that you can just order online, and it just makes it so easy.
And the rotary machines.
Yeah, the rotary machines, all of it. There's so
rotary machines can run like a grouping of needles that are like you could do your hair.
Yeah, and everybody's just really pushing the boundaries, because so many more people have gotten into it, and so many more people are trying new things, and then it's just.
And I think it's really changing the perspective out there. I mean, you guys are all experts in your own industry. Wouldn't you say that the way things have developed, the perspective out there for people tattooed, or people putting art out on the walls and with spray paint cans, it's less more elevated.
It's a double-edged sword for people like us, I think, because
you think so?
We appreciated it when it was underground. That's what made it edgy. That's what made you stand out. That was what really.
I learned that along the way too. You don't want to be known, some of you.
It was a subculture, and it was cool to be part of it, and you didn't feel like it was, it was cool that you were outcast a little bit. That's what drove us to a lot. A lot of us just didn't want to be a part of that mainstream society, but
you also got to think of a way to
so much that it elevates it elevates the art, but it's also so oversaturated. I am sure it's the same in.
Also, it's taken out a lot of the failure. Like I talked about, how we'd experiment. Today, you don't have to experiment.
Right.
Stuff, it's ready off the shelf for you.
Yeah, you order on Amazon and can watch a YouTube video and go.
Wow, I never really thought about season like that.
And so it's
so many. So you think it's oversaturated now to an extent?
Nobody makes needles anymore.
No, and
I was sitting there with when I've learned
you made your own needles
when I was learning. I was soldering the needles on my kitchen table and
spend hours, days.
Now
like
nobody even has
flux fumes in your eyes. And that's it. A lot of the younger generation doesn't need to know that stuff. They don't really have any need to learn the history or the forefathers or the groundbreaking pioneers that we had to know about and study and
in order to get better.
And there's good and bad things.
Now they can learn from you too.
You have to adapt. You have to learn to change with the times. Progress is going to happen. It's inevitable. But yeah, in a lot of ways, I think a lot of us wish that it returned to the shadows a little bit.
Would you? Well, I mean, you obviously are anonymous as it is, so.
It blows my mind too. Like back in the day, you didn't share. Your best friends didn't know you were out writing.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Like the people you wrote with are the people that knew, and that was that. And it was a secret to everyone else. You carry around Polaroids.
Little gang.
Share Polaroids with people.
Oh.
And now everyone's like, oh, let me get on Instagram. I got to blast this out there. I just did. I'm live streaming. You're right.
Surprising.
Well, there is definitely that part of it.
Arrested,
exactly.
Because everybody wants to post what they just did illegally.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that works.
Well, if they catch you,
that's it. A lot. I mean, I'm sure we all know a lot of artists that have been arrested and charged with a lot of money, and
that's a shame. And that's a shame because
your illegal stuff with the.
But that's
create an account that's.
But that's what bothers me. And I get how you want to stay underground and anonymous and all those things, but it's so frustrating to go to an art gallery and see people get paid tens of thousands of dollars for artwork. This is okay, fine, whatever. You got the Z Gallery down, whatever that main street is, near Ghirardelli Square. They're selling, it's ridiculous. I think, my opinion is tattoo artists, graffiti artists should be much better paid and, out of the...
And some of them are. There are those that are really taking it to that level, and that's...
It's all optics.
It's whatever you want, right? If that's your hustle, that's great. And like I was saying earlier, is tattooing, it's not all spotlights and blowjobs. People
I love that one.
Think like, tattooers make so much money, and the reality is most of us don't. There's a lot of really lean times. A lot of people have second jobs to cover the bills, and
feast or famine.
We're not in it for that as much as we're
this
in
is
it
true.
for the love of it. And we see somebody that's making ridiculous money in it, and you kind of like, well, I mean, more power to them.
Okay,
also,
I love the attitude though. No.
Yeah, I don't knock anybody's hustle. I think you can take it wherever you want to take it.
I love the perspective.
I've been able to make it because of my father. He left a path for me, and but I've learned that being versatile is key to make a living as an artist. Just do it all. Yeah. Embrace it all.
Sure. Try it all.
Tattoo. Do illustration work. Do graphic work. Do computer work.
Yeah.
Do it all.
Oh, that was the other thing that I learned along the way.
If you don't do it all, you're gonna need that second job.
No, that's so interesting too, because when Crayon did this with me, I actually thought I wanted the logo done with an actual spray paint can. And as I'm sitting here trademarking everything and going through the legal process, they don't like spray paint cans. The United States government wanted a clean logo. And when Crayon did this with me over the computer thing, I was surprised. I was actually, I don't mean to say this in a negative way, I was a little disappointed. Like I didn't realize that a lot of you guys are moving also to computer and the pen and the iPad and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think about going from hand-drawn to that?
Great.
Do you like it?
I don't use an iPad. I'm one of the only tattooers.
I love that. Okay. Oh, you don't? Oh, sorry.
I've got a computer. I haven't got a computer.
And it is generational. I think it's. I
was surprised.
The thing is,
I didn't like it.
Probably more than a third of my income is from original art sales, and when I go to computer, I've just.
It's not the same.
By a third,
at
least, if not half. And so, I mean, you might have an initial drawing, a sketch, or something that's maybe worth couple $100. But if I do a color piece of that, it's worth a few thousand, you know. So just
You mean by hand? Yeah, exactly.
Painting, extra
It's just,
painting.
it's
You hang in
such
the living room. You know?
Yeah, that's
Otherwise you
just
have
so much.
prints, you know.
Right.
You can do
It's a lot of prints.
computer
But that's
stuff.
why I like your work. Every time I get one, it's original artwork, hand, you know. I love it. Body work. You guys are all the same then. So
You gotta touch it.
exactly.
That's it. And I just
still like
never
books.
taken the time, and I'm not disciplined enough to learn to use the iPad correctly. But I
Yeah.
watch these guys, I work with you, and they crank out these amazing designs in a matter of minutes.
And there's still great artwork, but it's just something about handheld.
I've been doing it for so long, pencil to paper, that it's just hard for me to do something different. Right? So, and I feel comfortable, and I've had to learn to do it quickly on the fly because clients are waiting, and I got to draw right there. And so that's where I'm confident.
And museum shows are made out of that. That kind of activity.
Ding, ding, ding. I love that. The difference between an art gallery and a museum. I love that.
My friends, those gemios from Brazil,
Museum.
they do nothing but museum shows. They're just
Beautiful.
Barry McGee, Twist, discovered them, and they became even bigger, and now worldwide, and they just do museums. And
So they were just discovered by one person.
yeah, and
That's what I'm hoping for.
imagination is endless. It's very playful, and it covers young and old.
Oh,
And so that's and
yeah.
and it's breakhand and graffiti. They embrace that completely.
I love that.
They actually
have
go
to go
out
and look into that.
every week. They're doing pieces.
Say the name of it again.
Os Gemios.
Okay.
Means the twins in Portuguese.
I'm going to check that out. I love that.
Just a week ago or so.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well,
Japan, yeah.
thank you for that little piece of
But
that
then,
nugget.
the Smithsonian just did a year-long exhibit on their work.
Beautiful.
So
you can get recognized out there if you're discovered by the right
rare
person.
thing.
Well, okay, so I want to piggyback off that.
We have to work.
And like a million times harder.
Most don't arrive at that
Absolutely.
level in their lifetime. Some, inevitably will
Striving
end up, on display. Decades.
At some place, yeah. But I'd like to piggyback on something that you said. They work from young to old. Young, they work with young to.
Yeah, their stuff is so fantastical.
The subject matter from young to old. Sorry, I heard young to old, and actually it appeals to
like just for one demographic.
Got it. That's what you're referring to. That is when those words young to older, that spectrum.
We're not known. Our Bode work is not known for the PG. We're known for drawing voluptuous women and
I thought that's your newest one, right?
not a belly button.
No, it's got it. I learned my lesson with that.
Right, yeah.
That's your newest little plushie that's coming out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming out of Tokyo.
I can't wait till see it. It'll be out here in the United States,
Shadow
right?
Gallery out of Tokyo is producing them.
I love it.
Push that little bottle up behind.
Yeah.
So the,
Camera, that's it right there. That's a great little.
we finally getting these made.
I love that.
But
And that'll appeal to young to old. And, that was something actually I just wanted to kind of piggyback off really quick. One of the things that I am hoping that will come from all of this is to work with people from young to old. And I want to put it out there really quick. Mark, Mr. Benioff, I put it out there to you. Yeah. 300 Lake Street. I'm calling it iHeartSF Village. I know that you want to work with somebody like me to create a place for people from young to old to really reintegrate back into society as functioning members and get them back their lives. iHeartSF Village, what I'm calling it, 300 Lake Street is 6 acres of property waiting to be developed. It's the perfect location to put together what I have, what I believe is the perfect formula to really bring young and old together and help them, really reintegrate back into society and, as you say, clean up the streets of San Francisco. Put the money back into somebody who actually wants to do the work. You're a philanthropist. You write the checks. I'm a humanitarian. I do the work. With my friends here, we're going to help make it beautiful with the color and all the things, the paint, the art, everything. And I want to thank you guys very much. Your perspective on the art world, my first love, and what I've evolved into and what iHeartSF has evolved into. I hope to get recognized by that one person and really, make that difference here in San Francisco. Your artwork really is part of that,
Put the energy into the atmosphere,
I believe it.
Positive projection.
That's what it's all about.
Fully believe in that.
It's all about positive perspective and helping this demographic see the positive in their situations, San Francisco started out as a very quirky, fun, different kind of place. While you came up here for the art scene, you stay for the art scene, you put your artwork out there. It's why people come to San Francisco. It's why they stay. It's why they love it. And it's one of the first things that, people see out there. So hopefully other people will change their perspectives on graffiti artists and tattoo artists. And, I know we've all, evolved and lots of people getting tattooed and all the things, but it is still, a little bit.
Still a subculture.
It's still a bit of a subculture. And I love that. And I love all artwork and all of it. And I'm hoping when iHeartSF Village does come to fruition that you guys will all bring your talents to the buildings and make it beautiful.
Of course.
You talk about inspiration. You talk about being mentored and being inspired by other people. And like I said, I'm not a graffiti artist, but I do like a spray paint can. And one of the things that I did, I just recently purchased a home in the city, in the Sunset, not far from where I grew up, about 4 blocks from the beach, across from Gus's Market. It is
nice of it.
It is. It's very nice. I'm very grateful and fortunate. I painted it purple and pink, stand out from the box. And I went and I graffitied out my garage and the outside. I graffitied.
By yourself?
I did. I did. I graffitied out. Please do. So what I want to promote is what we're going to call, my son and I came up with this. I'm very excited. We're calling it Selfies in the Sunset. When I painted the house purple and pink, I had little girls, high school kids come and take selfies in front of my house. And I was like, inspiration, graffitied it all out, put a little quote up there, make a wish upon a heart, and you have to come and see it. We're going to be having it open to the public. Please come out, take selfies in front of my garage. Tag them Selfies in the Sunset. It's actually really cute. It's, and we'll cut to a picture of it. So I have been inspired by all of your work. Purple and pink is my favorite color. But keeping your work protected, what I'm doing, what other people need to be aware of and need to do. I mean, I don't know, how do you do it, Night Owl, with your work being out there do you get that at all?
It happens, definitely not as much as it happens to Mark, but
yeah.
I've been lucky. Just a simple cease and desist has ended it.
Okay.
I haven't gone any further, but
do you find it flattering though, a little bit?
no, because if you're making money off me, no.
Oh, well, no, not that part of it. No.
Yeah.
If they're doing it just for money, yeah, I get that right.
Imitation
Yeah.
is flattery. That's the saying. But
Okay.
It's actually you're not robbing me.
No, that's true.
It's like
Fan art, I love. Absolutely.
Fan art. Is that,
If you
so
want
it's
to
not
make
fan?
yourself one T-shirt, go ahead. Not
how about if you come into somebody's house and you see your TV set and your stereo and
Oh, that could be frustrating.
yeah.
No, that's frustrating. Yeah.
That's the feeling.
That's hard. I'm sure it's hard to deal with.
Somebody stole
Yeah.
something from you personally, from your home.
Being credited for your work is very important, for sure. Everybody wants to be credited for their work.
Again, if you're going to make money off it, you better.
That's really the line crosser.
Now, what I created,
That's the line
I
crosser.
deal with it all like almost monthly. Is I usually have like 100,000 people out there that are looking out after me and go, Mark, is this
Oh, that's
licensed?
nice.
And so
That's really nice.
They call them the Bode police,
Wow.
Nice.
and they're
Hey.
why.
That's
The
amazing.
Bode police will come after you.
That's amazing. Well, remember
Don't make no
that.
mistake.
Yeah, remember that.
And they will tell me, and I'll get in touch
Remember
with
that.
you, and you get
Okay.
that nice little letter from me. You have a nice little email.
You know?
But usually, I don't want to lose good money for bad.
No, we all want to be credited.
And
get paid.
legitimately, I make my money, legally, and I work hard at it. But there's 3 ways to deal with it: cease and desist, which you could say, okay, just stop what you're doing.
Right.
Or if I like what they're doing, I'll say, give me half of your run, and I'll sell
That's
it
great.
myself, and I'll get my money that way. And the third one is pay me to continue.
Yeah. Right.
And usually they go with 2 or 3.
Smart.
And if I come off like an asshole, like an arrogant, somebody, like a big guy picking a little guy,
Well,
that usually ends up in like, fuck you, I got a right to do this.
Right.
And then
The
they
entitlement.
block me.
yeah.
Well, that usually
get
doesn't
theirs in.
happen when you give them options.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, smart.
And so I end up more than not getting paid for what they did, so they can continue to sell off our property, done by them.
That's smart. That's smart. Good for you. It's important to get credited. That was one of the things I definitely want.
You
Yeah.
know how I deal with it.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's important. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm glad that didn't happen to you very often. I mean, has it ever happened to you where you had to?
Really, because I don't, usually what I create is
It's original.
pen and paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does happen in tattooing, particularly with people that put like flash designs out, and they sell a book or a flash design, a sheet of flash or a set of flash at the
Yeah.
convention, or other people
then it gets
see their
famous.
work, and then people take it and they replicate it on their own sheets and start selling that, monetizing it.
Pache,
Pache.
he did a tribal. I think tribal had him do for $500. They had him do graffiti letters.
Yeah.
They made a logo out of that.
Oh.
Millions,
And that's all you
millions of
got?
dollars later, and they held to it. They didn't. They were like, "Hey, we paid you, man."
I know.
They totally screwed him, and it's totally his style, and totally. It's a huge.
You have to be very
Another
careful.
example of that is what happened with Ed Hardy and his
Tell me.
logo. Christian Audigier was the creator of. Well, he took Von Dutch, did the same thing. Came to Ed Hardy, and he paid Hardy some money and got his logo, and ended up turning that into hundreds of
Millions of dollars.
Right.
And
right
Hardy
here.
got an
Hardy.
initial one lump small
He's
payment.
Karen Rose's teacher.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it does
Once-
happen.
It does happen.
Yeah, but again, you got to be
Talk.
careful, and
No, we all have that
patent that stuff.
IP.
Yeah. No, it's very
You have an
important.
IP, you have,
We have it.
we all have IPs.
Yeah, trademark.
Yeah, all of it. It's very.
Intellectual property.
It's very important. Very important. Well,
Copyright.
you hear that, artists out there. So
Copyrights are real.
they really are. No, it is real. I mean, I've seen it go down the other way. So yes, most of the money and iHeartSF has been spent with the copyright. So, well, thank you again, guys, for everything. I would love to maybe take a few pictures. Yeah, did you enjoy it? Oh, thank you. I was so worried because, thank you. I'm really excited. I mean, really, this is like a dream come true. I mean, I just wait. This is going to be the one that hits.
Inspired by the graffiti art that I grew up around in the streets of San Francisco when I was fortunate enough to purchase a home here in the city, out in the Sunset neighborhood that I grew up in, across from Gus's, I decided to trick out my garage and backyard and take my hand at the spray paint game. We want you to come out here and take selfies in front of our beautiful artwork. We're gonna call them Selfies in the Sunset. Come and enjoy Sunset Dunes, our newest park here in the city, and just have a good time with the art and the area and enjoy the beauty of San Francisco. And a merchandise is life, by the way.
Okay, so today I'm going to look directly into the camera and I want to talk to Mr. Benioff. Mark, I caught wind of a TikTok where you make comments here in our city. You're a native of San Francisco. You went to Burlingame High School. You know our city. And I caught wind of comments that you made about bringing in the National Guard or kind of agreeing with Trump. And this isn't to be political, but that you think that our city doesn't have enough patrol in it, you know, for maybe the crime, whatever. You know, here's the thing, Mark. You did a really great job in amassing a large amount of wealth and bringing a lot of technology to San Francisco and create a lot of jobs. And that's wonderful. That's great. And, you know, we appreciate that. But you also know, as a native of our beautiful Bay Area, that before corporate America descended upon San Francisco, it was a much different city. And it's the technology and corporate America that's really changed our city, you know, and brought it to where we're at and made this real divide between the have and the have-nots. Really is a consequence of your beautiful buildings, you know. I actually recorded my last podcast in your Salesforce Tower, and it was great. I love it. It's a beautiful building, but now it's time for corporate America like you and your colleagues to see what has, you know, been left because of all the technology and what have you that you've brought in. It's time for corporate America to pay for this and to help clean up. You know, I know that you write checks left and right. You call yourself a philanthropist and you do some great things, wonderful. But what's going on in the city with our homeless population isn't changing. And it doesn't matter how many checks are written, because it's been this way for some time and it's just getting more and more evident. I am looking for an organization, a person, a philanthropist like you to help a fellow humanitarian actually do the work. I'm here. iHeartSF is to do the actual work that needs to be done and help our homeless population transition back into functioning members of society. Everybody has a story and everybody has a life, you know. It took a minute for them to get there, and it'll take a minute for them to, you know, get back at it. So, you know, Mark, I'm talking to you. Help bring iHeartSF to next level. 300 Lake Street is what I'm looking to redevelop into what I'm calling iHeartSF Village.